Chainsmoker Cat is a very peculiar anime. People are dropping this anime after watching only the first episode, saying that it's too gross and repulsive. On the surface, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it has a great art style, but there are some things that are turning people away from the show. The thing is that this show deals with some mental health stuff, but not only that, this show is pretty gross and repulsive. So that is pushing people away from the show. So I saw the opening of Chainsmoker Cat on Instagram recently, and the art style grabbed my attention. And also the opening had a lot of movie references in it, just like Chainsaw Man, and I thought that it looked very interesting. So I looked it up and started watching it. The thing is that I didn't read the synopsis of the show or anything, and I didn't watch the trailer either, because I don't usually watch trailers for shows or movies because half the time they just spoil stuff for me. So I was caught totally off guard by how gross the show really is. It has a pretty good story and themes that it wants to portray, but it is a hard watch, I'm not gonna lie. It started airing this month, so there are only like 3 episodes out by the time of recording this video, but I think it paints a pretty good picture of what the whole story is gonna be about. It's about a cat girl named Yaniko who has a strong nicotine addiction to the point where it dictates her whole life. She's not able to hold any jobs because she starts getting withdrawal symptoms, so she's completely broke. And on top of that, she has a crippling cigarette addiction, which makes her whole life even more difficult. She doesn't take care of her hygiene at all, to the point where her whole room is probably radioactive at this point. Her sister comes into her apartment wearing a whole hazmat suit, so you know it's bad. She can't live without her cigarettes. She is smoking in almost every scene of the anime, and sometimes even smoking multiple cigarettes at once. People around her also take notice of this and try to help her out, but fail to do so. She also has a little sister who tries to take care of her from time to time. There's also a landlord who is just tired of her shenanigans. She has a lot of friends, surprisingly, and one of them is a streamer. This anime deals with things like depression and addiction and how those things take control of you. And even when you know that these habits are not good for your health, you cannot get out of them. And even though Yannick also knows that her addiction to cigarettes is not good for her, she can't help herself get out of it. And the anime portrays things like addiction perfectly, and it doesn't shy away from showing all the tiny details of what a person with this kind of addiction goes through. And that is why I think people are repulsed by this anime. Not just because it's too disgusting, but also because the mental health stuff that it has hits too close to home for some people and makes them uncomfortable. And even though the show only portrays the effects of a strong nicotine addiction on someone's life, we can also relate that to some other kinds of addictions like doom scrolling. Now obviously doom scrolling isn't as severe as nicotine addiction, but they have some commonalities. The thing is that as humans we desire pleasure, and there are 2 ways we can get that pleasure. One is the long-term pleasure by doing things like reading a book, working out, pursuing your hobby, and even small things like going on a walk. Now the other type of pleasure is the short-term pleasure, which we get from things like doom scrolling or nicotine. Now on the surface both do the same thing. Both short-term and long-term pleasures give us dopamine, but the short-term pleasure can have some serious consequences. Now you may have noticed that if you doom scroll on your phone for too long, you don't have much energy left to do other things. That is because when you're doom scrolling, you're getting like a constant stream of fast-paced content. So at one point our brain gets used to that high level of stimulation. So now when you try to do any other task, you don't feel good about it because it doesn't give you the same pleasure. We see in the show that Yaniko's whole life revolves around how she can get an exit of nicotine, and she's depressed. The thing is that she has no goal or purpose in life, so she seeks pleasure in things like cigarettes. You should always have some kind of goals in your life, and by working on those goals you feel fulfilled and get that dopamine naturally instead of hijacking your brain into giving you that pleasure artificially. You should have an anchor in your life that holds you down and keeps you in place. Otherwise you'll be roaming around in life and doing random shit to have some sense of purpose. Take all of this with a grain of salt, by the way. These are just my observations. I'm not a psychologist or anything. The one thing I like about this anime is its art style. This show, even though it's mostly gross, looks beautiful in some scenes. The show got those vibes, you know. Especially the nighttime in this anime looks so cozy, and the sky at the end of the first episode is just wow. The art style is not too stylistic, it doesn't go that crazy, but the anime looks pretty good, like the animation is awesome. This anime should not look this good, bro, like are you kidding me? Now, there are some things that I don't like about this show. When I watched the first episode, I got the impression that Yaniko is a loner. Apart from her sister, she doesn't have anyone that she can rely on. Then suddenly in episode 2, she has a whole friend group? How does she have friends? In episode 1, we saw that nobody wants to talk to her, and even her sister has to wear a hazmat suit in order to enter her apartment. And in episode 2, nobody has a problem with the smell, like that doesn't make any sense. And this character named Kansai, or whatever her name is, was making fun of Yaniko in front of her little sister in episode 1, saying things like, "You're her sister? Bruh." And then in the next episode, she's in Yaniko's room trying to impress her with the jokes? What? In episode 1, I think the show went a little too extreme with people not even wanting to be near Yaniko. But from episode 2 onwards, everybody is friends with her. Probably it's gonna be some shit like, "With the power of friendship, we're gonna beat our crippling addiction to nicotine." Or some shit like that, you know? Look, there are only 3 episodes out. I don't know where the show is gonna go from here. Give me a break. So yeah, the Chainsmoker Cat anime is very gross, but overall, I think it's trying to show the side of society that we sometimes ignore in a very real way. It's an interesting show and you should at least give it a try. But if you end up dropping it, I don't blame you honestly. It's in the comedy genre, but if you're like me and don't usually find anime very funny, it's not gonna do much for you, but the animation is good and the story seems interesting enough. The manga is still serializing, so the story is not ended yet, and there's only 3 episodes of the anime out right now, so let's see where the story goes from here. But yeah, anyways, that is it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.